If you are serious about what protein you use, then use what Jersey Jay-Z uses. Equip Foods Protein. Order yours now at equipfoods.com and use the promo code JerseyJZ for a special discount.
All right, guys, we are live. Joe Zapata here Thursday with Gregg Valentino and a special guest, Joe Christiano. How you doing, Joe?
Very good. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Oh, I can tell you, Joe, I always say this. I said it before we started, but I might as well repeat it for these people. I went to school with a kid named Joe Christiano. I actually loved the guy. He was a very, very close friend of mine. So every time I think, whenever in the past, I used to even say to this Joe Christiano, you remind me, like, a kid I grew up with.
Yes.
Like it's like a special name to me. So it may sound stupid to other people, but to me, it's not,
Yes.
And what's funny is I had told Greg before we just started, I had won a T-shirt from the Rambling Freak in Muscular Development.
Oh, God.
And I knew it was really Greg that was emailing me because it was all in capital letters, and that's how he wrote. That's how he wrote his section there. And he told me that story, which I just found that. And they always say that Italians save everything except for money.
Now, Joe, you and your wife have a gym. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a personal training studio. It's pretty much that we could have a full gym. We're big enough, have enough equipment for a full gym, but we've been there, done that. We had 2 general gyms, and when we moved here, we were like, you know what? I don't want to staff the place from 5 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night. My wife's a full-time RN. She has a full-time job. I just want to train people. That's what I've done for 30 years. So it's way better than a general gym. You can't compete with the huge gyms nowadays,
No, 100%.
You're up in like Rochester or something like that, right?
Yeah, we're Rochester. So we're about an hour away from the Canadian border.
Now, my daughter went to school in Canton. How far is that from you? Do you remember where like St. Lawrence is up there in Potsdam? Do you know where Potsdam is?
That's like the Adirondack type area, right?
I guess, I don't know. I find it almost the same to me when you go up
Yeah,
north.
I think that's like an hour and a half from us.
I'm driving to see like fucking moose on the road. I swear to God, I have videos. Like, giant fucking moose. I've never saw moose in my life.
It's funny is New York is so big. When I wrestled in high school, we wrestled in West Virginia. Like, you're from New York. Do you go to the Statue of Liberty often? Like, no, we're upstate.
Let's say hello to a couple people in the chat first. Greg Hoffman, he says, "What's up, my brother? Hey, Greg, tell the viewers to stay away from pretzels." All right, we got who else in there? Dan is in there. Dan, how you doing? He says, "What's up, guys? Let's start the show."
What's up, fellas?
What is going on? Devin and K8 says Zapata and Greg. All right, we're gonna start. Let's talk about that Conor McGregor fight, guys. If you want to start about that, I think it's time for him to retire.
It's that time.
It's that time.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, guys?
You're worth 150 million, and you're worth 150 million. You're what? You got to be about 40 years old. That's that time. I've never been a Conor McGregor fan. I mean, no. Greg talked about he was in that movie where he was standing like this, that weird movie, Roadhouse, the remake of Roadhouse.
That was good.
I think he's a goof, He's good at making money, though.
Yeah.
Listen, I know a lot of people like, that was set up. He fucking faked it. He just did it for the money. No, he was overamped. He ran out there and said, I'm going to fucking do this flying kick. He was practicing it before. If you watch him in the dressing room, he was kicking with authority. But when he ran out there, he jumped so high and he kicked. He was like 5 feet off of where what's his name was, and he missed it. It just when he came down, I think he fucking tore his meniscus or whatever it was that hurt him, and that's what happened. He was overamped. I thought he was going to go out there and do that shit, and then from there. But now, like Max Holloway's like, we should have a trilogy, where they do it again, and I'm like, how are you going to sell that? Nobody's going to give Conor.
No.
It looks like you're washed up. You know what I'm saying?
You can't be away from anything for 5 years, even your job, body, anything.
Say the same thing.
You can't be.
I wonder why they never put him on. They didn't put him on the White House fight.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think because there's too much trouble and shit. He's always in trouble, always
Hmm.
in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, like, I don't know. I like the guy. I just think that like he can't now. If he started that, like, I'll come out there and kick it out there. You can't take that serious because you just like. Look, I told Dave Palumbo, Dave, stop telling Kai Green to make a comeback. Yeah,
Hmm.
Kai Green's still jacked, okay, and he's a genetic freak. But
Mhm.
for him to get into that condition and get shredded and all that stuff when you haven't competed, yeah, he's been training, yeah, he's been taking the babanya, but it's a different animal now when you're going to step on stage.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I just think you'd be better off being the uncrowned Mr. Olympia, oh, if only, you know what I mean? Then go
Hmm.
in that show, place like 12th, and your mystique is shot.
Yeah. Do you guys think steroids played a part of this? Because Sean Strickland thinks steroids because he got big, and you know how steroids is. What do you think?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, everybody meniscal tear is very, very common. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
think so. What did he fight at? What weight did these guys fight at?
I don't know, like
I'm not sure.
160 or something. I think it was
I don't
really
know what
low.
he
It wasn't
bounces
Yeah,
too
he
up
heavy.
went up
to.
in weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the next weight up.
Hmm.
Yeah. 100.
Um,
I don't know.
it,
You
you
know,
Yeah.
it's
know,
funny you mentioned Kai Green. So, Greg, when I first started competing, I competed in the NGA and all the New York City shows. And Kai Green was actually a natural guy. He competed against my brother. My brother won the Mr. Teenage Natural America, and Kai Green won the Teenage Heavyweight, and then he won the overall. But he had his own dressing room. He didn't talk to nobody. You know who was his mentor was Charlie Carrillo. You know him, I believe,
yeah,
from
I
the
know Charlie
NGA. Yeah,
Carrillo.
I think he owned a
Holy
gym in
shit,
Brooklyn or whatever. Yeah,
that's a long time ago. You know, it's
yeah.
funny because I always tell the story. I've told it many times. Because I was a really good natural bodybuilder. I was natural back then, and I had stopped competing. I was promoting stuff, and I had my partner that owned the gym with me, and we used to be good friends with Johnny Latz. And we'd go to Johnny Lat's gym, and I went to pick my partner Paul up one day, and he goes, "Bro, you got to see this kid that's training. He's natural, bro. I swear to God, you're not gonna
Crazy.
believe it." And I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Bring him out, let me see him." And then we did a little post. I mean, and he was fucking. I was like,
Yeah.
because I had a big back and big legs, but his back had like this density and maturity to it, and his legs were like dense and mature too. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't just size. It's a whole fucking. He had this whole package as a natural. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, holy shit, because I'm not gonna lie, I was cocky as a
Years old.
natural. Everybody used to
Hmm.
accuse me of roids, and I was like, I didn't
Hmm.
even know what roids were. And then when I saw him, I was like, holy shit. I mean, he was really, and so was Sean
Hmm.
Roden, by the way.
Hmm.
Sean Roden used to win. Bob Bonham used to run the Natural Eastern Classic every year. And
Mm-hmm.
Sean Roden would go in there and win that show every year. And it's a drug tested show.
Hmm.
Yeah. 100%. We got a question here. How's the smoke in the neck of the woods? The arsonists in Canada are at it again.
It's brutal. It's brutal in upstate New York.
Yeah.
I think it was like a 260 or 270 today, which is like senior citizens and little kids shouldn't be outside. But when you walk outside and it smells like a campfire, it's pretty brutal.
It's funny because I just did a show about 2 hours ago with Frank, Big Frank
Yep.
Brudolinsky. And I can't even say his last name. You know Big Frank, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The
Joe?
arm wrestle. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, Big Frank. And he's in Buffalo, and he was telling me, man, it's bad up there. And it's
Hmm.
bad here. Like yesterday, it was like orange outside.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's 100%.
But if you think about that, right? Think about Canada has this fucking wildfire, and you're suffering. We're almost like, I don't know, 800, 900 miles away or whatever, right? And yet, it's affecting us. Can you imagine that if there was like a volcano somewhere or whatever? If a volcano went off in Yellowstone, which is like what, Montana and everything, we would be living in a cloud of darkness for, they say, up to like maybe 2 years. We'd be fucked. That's what killed the dinosaurs. I mean, think about the soot that's in the air now. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just
Yeah.
from a fucking fire. Can you imagine if something hit the earth, the impact with this, with the soot in the air or a volcano?
Yep.
That shit's
100%.
real.
Yeah. 100%. We're three guineas here. Did you see what Mandani did with Little Italy?
You
What,
know, he's trying to blame it on Eric Adams. Did you see that? He's trying to blame it on the previous administration.
what did he do with Little Lily? Which part?
He,
We're talking about.
Joe, he basically was talking about the different ethnic groups that helped build the city.
Oh
And
yes,
he
yes.
left
Okay.
out the Italians, the Jews, and the Irish. Now, he hates the Jews.
Yeah,
So
we
you knew
know
he's going
that.
to leave that out. But yeah, now he said he's going to fix it. Well, sorry, that ship has sailed,
Well,
It's
it's
terrible.
funny. That's why everybody's sending me this shit. Like I got all these things. 5 things you didn't know about Italians. You know what I mean? How they built New York and how they built this and built that. And I mean, listen. We're named after an Italian, Amerigo Vespucci, right?
Mhm.
He's the original guy. The explorer. Amerigo Vespucci landed in South America, but that's where the word America comes from. Amerigo Vespucci was Italian. Christopher Columbus was Italian, but the Italians didn't want him to sail under the Italian flag, so he went under the Spanish flag. But he was really, I think, Christopher Colombo, like Franco. That.
100%.
But
Um,
Mandami's an asshole. Nobody's gonna buy into this shit. He's gonna. All these young people that are buying into this, right? They think like they're gonna get free this and free that. They're gonna wait till he's been there a couple of years and like, where's my free shit? Because the city's going down bad. They're losing all the millionaires, and that means they're gonna charge all of us more money. To make up for the loss of that, and that's
mhm.
not gonna go over well.
Yep, 100%. 100%. We were talking also about the Aceto Palumbo issue going on,
Mm.
and I think I was talking to my friend, and he was telling me that if Aceto's son becomes what he comes, and if he loses his first bodybuilding contest, he's gonna cry the racism card. That's what my friend was telling me.
He's already crying it now, and
That's what I'm saying. He's crying it now, and he didn't even win anything. Now, you guys obviously
But I
bodybuilding and stuff.
I
What do you
believe
think?
he won a contest. Frank told me this, but they showed. I don't know what I saw of the video was just another guy. Could be wrong though. Could be just somebody showing that. But they said it was between. Like it's when how you see these contests. There's two people in a class and you win.
Hmm.
Even if you play second, that's last, but you're second.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Oh, the thing is you'll never hear me say a bad word about Dave Palumbo. Dave has always been good for me. Dave
Yeah,
prepped me for shows. I've
Hmm.
been promoting shows since 1998. Dave would send me free product for the competitors. You know
Okay.
what? I mean, like you think he maybe did this to try to become like famous and get like go viral and stuff like that. But why attack Dave? Dave does more free stuff for the sport than anybody.
I think Dave has a philosophy on it, and Dave believes it's because he's very close with Chris. He's been close with Chris before the kid was born, and the kid has a little bit of jealousy because he's a little bit of one of those like that's my father. Do you know what I'm saying? And just like he thought he was talking for his father. Never did Chris say to Dave, I'm not doing this show anymore unless you get rid of the comments. No more comment section, because the kid insinuated that, and that never happened. You know what I mean? And Dave even said, if that ever happens, then I'm not going to do the show with him because I'm not getting rid of the comment section. And if you listen to the comments, if you read the comments, I'm not talking about like the fucking momos over here, on the live show. I'm talking about the actual comments.
Hmm.
They blast the shit out of Dave. Dave the Jew, Dave this, Dave that, Dave's kids, Dave Amanda's this, Amanda that, they don't stop. They relentlessly, like Dave's got a big head, big bubble gut, all they do is rip the guy apart.
Hmm.
Why wouldn't he just, he's not taking away those comments, right? He's not taking away the comments,
Yeah.
he legitimately doesn't read them, so it doesn't like bother him. Do
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been good to you, Chris, right? Joe. I mean, he's been good to you.
Oh, like I said, Dave's a great guy. I can't say a bad word. I know Greg likes to say everybody's a great guy, but Dave is truly a great guy. I mean,
He
Dave,
is a great guy.
I mean, never hear a bad word. I mean, I love the products. I use his products. You know what I mean? You'll never hear me say a bad word about Dave Palumbo ever.
Yeah. And he's very knowledgeable. You know that, Greg.
Oh, very,
Oh yeah.
very.
Well, the guy went to med school. It's like,
Hmm.
you ever watch what's that, Officer and a Gentleman? You remember when that guy Sid fucking quit the Navy, like, just before graduation, like nobody DORs with like 3 days left. You know what I'm saying? And Dave left just before graduating as a doctor. You know what I'm saying? He went to med school. I don't know if you know that, but he went to med school.
Yeah.
And but he's good to everybody. When that kid goes, nobody likes you, Dave. I can't think of one person that likes you. With that
Right.
smug,
Yeah.
look,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
And they're crying racism. He goes, I can't believe, what is it? Because a white man married a black woman.
Hmm.
Give me a break, bro. Stop that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you guys didn't mention it on After Hours. I was waiting for it, but it didn't come
Holy
up.
shit. Yeah, no, everybody was like,
Yeah, I knew
but
it.
we were all warned. Every one of us was warned by Dave. So I made some little comment, and I went to John Mahon, and John Romano knew. I don't remember the comment I made, but I knew, I threw a little under,
Mhm.
playing, but I wasn't going to come out with anything.
Yeah,
Yep.
you used the word smug. I thought I was the only
Yeah,
one that used the
smug,
word
yes.
smug.
Yeah. Now, Joe, you competed too for a while, and you did a show recently, right?
Yeah, I did my first show in 1993, back when in the NGA, in and out of New York City. When my father was alive, he'd tell me and my brother, "Where do you want to compete?" And he'd just book us tickets. You know what I mean? We went to Arizona, went to Colorado, and then my wife and I competed this past fall in an NPC show in Vegas.
Oh, good for you.
My wife's a nationally qualified bikini competitor, and you know what? That's the only division that's getting numbers on the local level is bikini. Bodybuilding's getting no numbers
Dude,
anymore.
listen, I have a lot of girls that I love that train and they're bodybuilders and they're jacked. But personally, show me a girl in a bikini that's got a bikini body and, you got my attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my taste. I'm not into that, like, here, pull my finger. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm not into that shit. Chicks, wait, we're going to squat here. Hold on. Okay, let's go. You know what I mean? Or I told you I went to one time, a long time ago, before I was with my girlfriend and everything. I took out some chick that was into working out bodybuilding, and she's like, "Oh my god, you are not gonna eat that fucking bun and fries," because you're at the diner. I'm like, "Yeah, is that okay?" And she's like, "I thought you're a fucking Mr. Bodybuilder and stuff," and I'm like, "Look, you can fucking sit and have whatever the fuck you want to have, but I'm not eating no fucking asparagus. I don't like that shit. Asparagus, eh? I grew up with a mother who ate all like organ meats and all that vegetable shit, and she died of pancreas cancer. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
What I'm saying to you is, I first of all, I don't like that shit. We used to wait. My mother would make us big bowls of like fucking string beans, and I'd be like this. Me and my sister, my father, and we'd wait. She'd always forget something, and she'd have this big bowl, right? And we'd wait. As soon as she'd leave and go in the kitchen, we'd all fucking scrape our plate into her plate or throw it down to the dog and shit. And she'd be like, "Okay, good. You all eat your vegetables." And we're like, "Yeah, okay." Even my father.
Mhm.
We're like, "Fuck that."
Yeah, 100%. Joe, now your son, now he's into bodybuilding a little bit. What
He
does he
like,
do?
yeah, he likes working out. I mean, it's so convenient because we got the gym here. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like, in Rochester, New York's pretty famous for bodybuilding. I mean, two of
Oh
the three
yeah,
owners of Gold's Gym, Pete Krumkowski and Tim Kimber, they came from Rochester, New York. They used to have the Greg will remember. They used to have the Niagara Falls Pro Show.
do
Billy
remember.
Levine's promoted
Mhm.
that show, and Jim Rockello is from Rochester, New York. He owns Samson's Gym. He's a good friend of mine, also. You know what I mean? So
So is
Rochester's
Danny
got
Padilla. Danny Padilla's
yeah,
from
yep.
Rochester.
Wow.
Chicorello's from Rochester. You got
Chickarello.
you got a good amount of bodybuilders coming out of Rochester. But yeah, he likes working. He likes to make me happy. You know what I mean?
I think
So
even George Farrer might have been from
George is from
Rochester.
Rochester also. Yeah.
George
Wow.
Farrer, yeah.
That's pretty good.
And
Hmm.
I
But
know.
what about the younger generation bodybuilding? Do you think, because they say Gen Z is a little bit, we've been talking about
Boy,
Gen Z being
I
soft.
tell you what, it's. I'm so glad we own our own place. If I had to go to a gym and I had to have a guy with a tripod and a
Mhm.
camera,
Oh,
and you're worried
Mhm.
about walking in the middle of his filming, I would lose my mind.
Mhm.
No way.
100%.
Oh.
Joe, I saw this hot Indian chick. I've told this story, but whatever. I saw this hot Indian chick. I'm over on a bicep machine, and the mirrors are right there to the side of me, right? And I see this hot Indian chick come walking in, and she has like a halter top on, her hair all done, makeup done. You see her belly button. She got the spandex on, and fucking, you see the thong, be underneath the spandex. Comes in, walks over to the dumbbell rack, grabs a dumbbell, walks over to that mirror, pops up her phone, and starts going like this, curling like while she's filming herself, curling like this, right? And she's grunting and making faces, right? Then she puts it down, and then she's like, doing the little posing thing like this. And she looks over at me. She sees I'm sitting there looking at her like, and she put the weight back and walked out. What she did was she wasn't even working out. She did it like so she can do like an Instagram thing, make it look like at the gym, pumping up, baby. You know what I mean, like that kind of shit. I was
Mhm.
like, holy fuck, what a loser! Like, what a waste of like
Yeah.
you came in the gym. If I tell you she was in there less than 2 minutes just to do that, just to take, you know, Like, yeah, I'm in the gym working out, you know what I mean? Primping and pumping, you know?
Yep. They
So
get all
glad I
their.
grew up when I did. You know, growing up in the 80s and 90s, with the guys when we were kids, the guys at Samson's were so big. There were monsters there. The Tony and Mark Natali would train her. Me and my brother would be like, maybe we could just get in and sneak our workout in and no one bothers us. You know what I mean? That's when it was. I'm glad I grew up in that era. Not the way things are now. No way.
Yeah, no.
100% agree. 100% agree. Because I saw some kids, young kids, Gen Z, before they go to the gym, they were eating like 6 Rice Krispie treats, and I'm like, they said they saw it on social media, and this is what these kids are doing. They watch it on social media, and then they go do it at the gym. It's
Well,
not,
that's why I used to freak out because, you know, if Rich Piano would have said eat ass hair in a capsule, these kids would have done it. I used to see Rich Piano make that shake, throw fucking like, you know, pudding in there or what, not pudding, like fucking, what do you call it? Applesauce, peanut
cocoa,
butter, all like
cocoa
fucking
pebbles.
10,000, yeah, cocoa pebbles, all this shit. Blend it up, you know, and then throwing carb powder in it. And I'm like, are you fucking serious, bro? You know, there's kids that watch, it's just like, what's his name? Fucking. But I used to laugh watching him. Is Cali Muscle when he would make a cake and he
Mm-hmm.
would throw like Sprite and he'd fucking throw like fruit cocktail and shit like that and then bake it in the oven, make like a cake out of it, and then he'd do all that like this. But idiots fucking believe that shit. You don't understand.
Yep.
Kids really believe Rich Piana to drink, you know, eat a quart of ice cream, a pint of ice cream before bed, right bed. And they're like, oh my God, Rich Piana eats, I should eat that ice cream too.
Yep,
You know,
100%. That's
fuck.
why I'm glad, Joe, you train your son and help him, because if the kids today,
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, I train a lot. I train a lot of teenagers too. A lot of these guys, they really love lifting, and I'm like, listen, basic exercises, eat a good amount of food, and sleep. A lot of these kids don't sleep. You got to sleep. You know what I mean? You got to try to get 7, 8 hours of sleep if you're trying to, trying to recover or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, that's the stuff the magazines used to tell us back in the day. Now it's all influencers online.
Well,
That's right.
that's part of the problem, Joe, is because the magazines were one thing, but today you got influencers. You know, don't take this, take this. You know, train this way, don't train that way. Hit training is the way to go. No heavy reps. Yeah, everything is so fucking off base. Cook chicken without the skin. No, got to keep the skin on, the healthy fat. You don't know what the fuck to believe. Everybody gives you some other bullshit different, and all these young kids. You know, I'm natural, so you know I don't want to take steroids, so I'll just take SARMs and fucking and peptides and all this other bullshit. And I'm like, dude, you have no idea what that shit is even all about. You know, I
Mhm.
get it, BPC 157 and you know that shit. Okay, that shit's maybe help you with the fucking recuperating, but building muscle, that's a different story.
Different story. Yep.
You know what I mean?
And there's so many experts. Everybody's a peptide expert. They know
Hmm.
this and they know
That's true.
that. You're going to your hairdresser and they're selling peptides and they're, like, are you kidding me? You don't even look like you lift, but you're a peptide expert now?
Yes. A lot of these kids don't look like they lift at all.
But the
No,
thing
no,
is,
no.
it still has to get broken down in the liver. I don't give a fuck. If you pick your nose and eat it, you got to break it down in the liver. And that's where the problems come in. You understand?
Mhm.
Like people like, oh, take Anavar. It's like not, it's non-toxic. It's toxic to your liver. Anything oral is toxic to your liver. I
Hmm.
mean, Tylenol's not a steroid, and it'll fucking destroy your liver if you take too much of it. I'm just saying, you can commit suicide by taking a whole bottle of Tylenol. Your liver
Hmm.
explode, and good luck.
Hmm.
It's that people don't realize that shit. You know, these kids are all looking. I want it. They're like that. What's that girl in the movie? Fucking Willy Wonka. I want it now, Daddy. Now. You know what I mean? You know, there's kids who can't lift weights, like from the day they're working out. Yeah, I want to lift some weights. Hey, where can I get steroids?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't even know the testosterone. And I'm like, it's testosterone.
Hmm. Dan says, "Do you know what happened to Chris's son? He went to a college, Brainwash Academy."
Who? Oh,
It's
Chris Aceto. I'm sorry.
Chris Acito's son. He said, "Where did he go to
I
college?
thought he was
Brainwash
called Joe
Academy." It was a
Chris.
joke. It was a
Joe, how
joke.
old is your son?
18 in June.
Okay, good. God
Yeah.
bless.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a good
He
boy.
enjoys. He enjoys working out and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he really loves old music. We're big Kiss fans in our family, so he loves Kiss and Styx and all the groups that I listen to, and even Greg listened to. He's definitely a throwback. He ain't listening to new music. He's listening
Oh
to
yeah.
old, and that's why he likes guitar. Our guitar teacher lets him play like he was playing AC/DC Big Balls, stuff like that. I'm like, well, that's not really a song you play when you're out in public or whatever, but it's good to practice it. So.
Yep.
No, I love all that music. Man.
Yep.
AC/DC was my favorite band, and I loved Ozzy and Black Sabbath. Ozzy was my favorite artist. I loved
Yep.
all that shit growing up.
Yep. Brian Pablo says gyms today ain't the same compared to back then. Brian
Yes,
Pablo.
that's my boy, Brian Pablo.
Yes.
Brian, yeah, no, it's true. You know what I mean? But it's always like that. What happens is you take a good thing and you keep trying to make it better and better and better and better. And before you know it, it's now you fucked it up. You know, it's almost like you're making a gravy, spaghetti sauce for you fucking momos out there. All right, you're making a gravy. You throw a little bit of garlic and you throw a little bit more of this and then let me add a little bit of this and then now you ruin the fucking gravy. You know, you got to keep it simple. You know.
Yep.
My grandmother stick her fucking hands in there. That flavored the sauce. You don't fucking have to like throw too much shit in there. You ruin it. You make it like I can't eat this. It's all salty, you know.
Yep.
They never wrote down the recipes like it was a secret.
Right? They never wrote that. They just knew what to put in there.
Yeah. Joe, what's your gym like? What is your gym and where's it located?
We're in a town called Irondequoit. We're a suburb of Rochester, New York. So I handpicked my equipment. I ran a gym called Boundaries Gym for 17 years. And then when our landlord quadrupled the rent, we didn't have a choice. So the owner said, "Hey, I'm going to go out of business in 3 weeks. Let me know what you're doing." I'm like, 3 weeks? This is the only,
Shit.
you know, so I handpicked my stuff. So I've got Magnum plate loaded stuff and Strive equipment, and then, you know, dumbbells from 5s to 110s. We downsized when we went to personal training. There's no reason I need doubles of duplicative weights from 60s to 110s. You know what I mean? You know, so we got one room, we do all cardio stuff. My wife has like a posing room downstairs that she could take her clients down there and work on posing, and they, you know, they won't have anybody like watching them, but it's very private, which is, you know, just the way I want it, why I want to keep it.
No, that sounds good.
That's really good, you know. Especially
I just did a video. I didn't put it up yet, but I'm nuts. You might not believe this, but I'm nuts. But you know, Joe. I think you noticed Joe Zapata. I'm nuts. Like it is like a fucking, you know, my gym. I had 3 pairs of every dumbbell, right? Like, you know, 3 pairs of 10s, 3 pairs 20, 50, all the way up like that. And if let's say if I wanted to do 50-pound dumbbells, right? I use the same dumbbells. I have to use those dumbbells. So if there's nobody else in the gym, just one guy, and he happened to be using 50-pound dumbbells, but it's one of the dumbbells I want. Now they're the same. It's 3 sets, you know, of the same exact. It's not like, oh, this is a, you know, they were saying, believe it, we had Ferrigno dumbbells. So 3 sets of Ferrigno dumbbells, and I'd be like, do you mind if that one dumbbell? I want that one dumbbell that you're using. He goes, there's 3 other, you know, sets right here of those dumbbells. I'm like, I know it sounds nuts, but I need that one, that particular one. I don't know why. So the other day I walk in the gym. And I'm gonna, you know, my friend who owns the gym just got, like, you know, we have the round plates, but then he got these octagon fucking plates, right? And I look at the leg press, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, somebody just put on an octagon. I can't do that. I have to take that off. I cannot use that. I have to put even though the 45s, right? They're 45-pound plates. They're still 45-pound plates. He's got the Ivanko and something else. I don't know what the hell the octagon was, Polo or whatever. Anyway, they're octagon like that, you know? And I'm like, I can't do that. And my other friend's like, what, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I gotta have the fucking same plates on. I can't have a round plate with an octagon plate. And I know that's a little bit eccentric, but that's just the way I am. Like, if you do, like, I have another friend that purposely won't push the weights in. He'll do a set, and instead of the weights, like, again, I'll use it. Let's use the leg press. Let's say there's 3 plates on it. 1, 2, 3. Instead of them being compressed as 1, 2, 3, he'll have like a space between them like that.
You can't do it.
I tell him, dude, please stop the set. Well, while he's doing set, I'll push it. And he laughs, but he gets pissed at the same time. He's like, what's fucking wrong with you? I'm like, I can't see you do that, bro. Shit like that. I guess that's, what do you call that, Joe? It's like being nuts.
Is that OCD kind of?
I guess it's an OCD thing.
Do the words have to be all facing inward when you use them also?
No, I'm not that bad.
Oh, okay. 'Cause that's how I was taught.
Don't put that shit in my head, because I mean, let's not do that shit. I'm not like that with everything, but like when it comes to it, I mean, I have to fucking use certain plates in certain way, and I cannot use those fucking octagon plates. I'm like, no way. I cannot. You cannot stick that on a bar wall. This side's got round ones, and that side's got octagon. In my brain, it's like fucked up.
Yep. Skip says, I miss Flex Magazine days. Yes, Flex Magazine.
Yeah, man, I miss it.
100%. You don't do that. Joe, who did you like look up to? Who was your bodybuilder that you loved?
I mean, when I came up, I did my first show in '93. Like Dorian Yates was just like, I mean, he guest posed at a show I did here in Rochester, and walking backstage, you were like, it was a mountain of a person. I mean, people
Mm.
can't appreciate how good Dorian Yates was. He was
Yes.
unbelievable. And I also, Jim Raquel and I promoted the Mr. America when we brought the Mr. America back here to Rochester,
Mhm.
and then the following year, I kind of negotiated for Tom Platz to come in for the next promoter, and Tom was the nicest guy in the world. Tom talked to us about squatting like a priest talks about Jesus Christ. He was so
Yes.
passionate. He was so nice to us. Tom Platz and Dorian Yates are my two favorite bodies. I love Mike Matarazzo too.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I know all of them.
Mhm.
Platts is definitely out there, but he's a great guy. He's a very intense man, but he's funny. He's philosophical, but he's a great guy. He's very smart. And your Yates is, I'm not Dorian Yates' favorite person. That's my fault because I tell Dorian Yates stories
Mhm.
about Sound Factory and all those other crazy shit. Him with the Holocaust, that
Mhm.
never happened. No, they just got a bunch of skinny Jews, made him lay in a pile, take pictures. Okay, good job. So Steve Blackman was Jewish, and he told me go for it, go after him. So I did. But I like Dorian Yates. I actually like him a lot, and he's very smart. And
Mhm.
you know what I like? He's very when you talk to him, he's very practical. Like in other words, he doesn't get crazy and say all this stupid shit. Well, you got to stimulate the myofibrils with the sarcoplasms, get into this. He doesn't do all that shit. Like I'm talking to Thomas DeLauer or something. You know what I mean? Like you're like, wait, can you keep it simple?
Mhm.
He tells it just like very simple. Like even now, why do I need to get big anymore? People ask me, why aren't you? Don't you feel like you miss being huge? He said, why should I miss being huge? I was
Mhm.
huge once. I'm in a different part of my life anymore. I don't want that. If I wanted that, I could have that. But I want to live. You know.
Didn't he get it from
Mhm.
Mike Menser? Didn't he get his follow that same?
Mike Menser.
Yeah, Mike Menser and Doring follow the same like the hit training.
Heavy duty,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He took a lot of Mentor's principles, I think,
yeah.
He
when
did.
he
Well,
was training.
Menser trained him a little bit, and he doesn't like that guy. Dr. Mike was talking shit about Menser, right? Remember
Mhm.
him saying all this shit. Oh,
Mhm.
I better build than him. I got this, and he said, "You." What did he say? He said something like, you could say what you want, but you're bigger. He said, but you're a big piece of shit is still just a bigger piece of shit, or something along that lines. And you knew what he meant. Like you shut the fuck up.
Mhm.
You know
I
what?
mean,
I will take a practical use in the field way more than book smart. I remember years ago Dorian was arguing with Lane Norton online and saying, he's a smart guy or whatever, a PhD, whatever, and Dorian came back with, I'm 6-time Mr. Olympia. Okay, well, how do you argue with that?
Mhm.
You know what's funny? I knew Lane, and he was a good guy because again, he worked sometimes at MD with us, and I met him in person and all that stuff. And when I was a natural bodybuilder, I was proud to be natural because people think you're on juice, and that was such a fucking compliment to me. But I never shoved it up people's ass. I don't like if you want to be natural, that's great. I was natural 23 years, but I always knew I'm going on juice one day. But I didn't do that shit like, wow, look at me now, huh? You
Mhm.
imagine?
Hmm.
Imagine what this would look like if I took everything that everybody else was taking. Imagine what I'd look like. I never did that. I didn't do that
Hmm.
shit. You know what I'm saying? I just it was natural mostly by choice, but that's because also it's how I started. You know what I'm saying? And I just went with the punches. But I knew, as soon as I got the babanya, I mean, as soon as I had the shkarol and I could afford the babanya, and then I did, and that's what happened. I started drug
That's why a
dealing.
lot
And
of people a lot of people hate natural bodybuilders because they got to tell you they're natural, just like a vegan's got to tell you they're vegan, or a
yeah,
CrossFitter's got to tell you they do CrossFit. Like, who cares? No one really cares.
it's like Wes Watson. How you doing? I'm a shot caller. I was in prison 20 years. Okay, thanks for letting me know that shit. Yeah, hey, how you doing? My name is Wes Watson. You should know who I am. I'm an influencer. Hey, dude, I was a fucking truck caller. Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Well,
I
that's the way
understand.
these naturals are. Yeah, but
Hmm.
yes, Tom Platz had big legs, but come on, I'm natty and he's on stuff, and I'm like, oh
Mhm.
god. And you get a lot of that natural. Look at the kid. Look at that kid. Cito's kid. The holier than thou. I am the future.
Oh.
I hate my girlfriend does that when she's pissed at me. She'll sit there. I'll say something. Something that pisses her off. She'll just stare at me like this. Not say a word. I'll keep talking. She'll be like this. I'm like,
Holly,
holy fuck, dude.
Holly says, "Oh my God, Greg, I'm the same way. I have to do the same weights on there. She has to do the same thing like
Thank
you
you,
do."
Holly. Holly, if you're doing a curl, like I see my friends do this now, they do it all the time because they know it bothers me. They'll be doing a curl. Let's say they have like 10s and 5s or whatever on it, 25s, and they'll have one plate a little bit out off the fucking, a little bit out, not right on the collar or whatever.
Mhm.
And they know it fucking bothers me. They'll curl, and one will stand there watching, and they wait till I come over and I go, dude, fucking cut that shit out. It drives me crazy. Now I know it's not me, and if that's the way they want to do it, let them do it that way. I get it, But
Mhm.
you're doing it to fuck with me, and it works because I can't control myself with that shit, you know. And I need that dumbbell. Don't touch my fucking dumbbell, I have a dumbbell, Joe Christiano. I have a dumbbell. I think you know this, Joe Zapata. I have a dumbbell. I actually have it now at home, so I can't use it. But in my gym, I used to use it so much for so many years that it actually has like in the knurls of the dumbbell. It's a Ferrigno dumbbell. I had in the knurls. It has my handprint, like the wearing off of where my hands were. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I feel like a sense of pride with that.
Mhm.
But it's stupid. I mean, it's stupid. But if I was in the gym and somebody was using it, I don't care if they used the dumbbell, but not when I gotta use it. You know what I mean? Like I sit
Mhm.
there and I sweat, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and I know there's nobody else in here, and there's other dumbbells right here that are the same exact dumbbell, but can I get that dumbbell? You
Mhm.
know? And they're
100%.
usually like, dude, knock yourself out.
100%. Joe, do you, and you don't have to answer, Joe, but do you TRT or anything? What do you do?
A little bit. I competed for 25 years taking nothing.
Okay.
When you get to your
Okay.
mid 40s, you do what you got to do. But I'll tell you what, I would not go do a show that's drug tested taking anything, because they
Mm,
either got drug tested shows or you got non-drug tested shows. There's no in between.
correct.
It's brutal because a lot of these organizations are saying, we're drug free. Okay, well, how many people you tested? So let me tell you a quick story. When I promoted the Mr. America, what I did was I had the idea. Now we're going to do urine testing. So urine testing was like $130 a test. So
Hmm.
I took $50, added it to everybody's entry. Okay, I put all the money in the kitty, and then I tested everybody up to the dollar amount I had. I'm not testing the teenage bikini girl. I'm not testing the guy over 70, but I tested the top people in the class, and
Hmm.
those are the people that got tested. I think that's fair. You promote a show with 100 competitors, you're testing 4 people. That's not fair.
Hmm.
You either
100%.
have drug free or not drug free. There's no in between. You
Yep.
know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, unfortunately, you got a lot of guys that bullshit and they sneak in with you. I had a friend that used to do that shit. He'd be like, "Watch this shit." He'd take a shot of suspension, and then he'd go into a drug test. But it wasn't chemical. It was just a lie detector test. But he would
Hmm.
pass. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Hmm.
And he was like an axe murderer type guy. He had no personality, so he could pass anything. He had no, like, you know what I'm saying?
We had a good guy. We used to, when we promoted with the NGA, we had a guy that was a retired homicide investigator, did our polygraphs, and he was very, very good.
Hmm.
And then he got to be a little bit older, and we weren't getting the failures that we used to. You know what I mean? So that's when we went to like a random urine type thing. Now, and
Hmm.
yeah, I know your urine test is like an IQ test. I understand that, but it's like it's a deterrent. You know what I
I,
mean? People I would hope, aren't taking steroids to go do a local bodybuilding show,
I
but you
can't
never know.
I can't remember the guy's name. That's this. I bet you. What was his name? Joe. Was his name Joe? The undercover the retired detective. 'Cause that's the guy that
No,
used to do the
our guy was
polygraph for
our guy
us.
was Lynn Prescott, but I took polygraphs in New York City in a building 30, 40 floors up, looking over the edge, which was kind of scary. But I knew I hadn't taken anything. I knew I was going to pass, but that was a
He
little
was
scary.
he was a cop too. He was an ex detective or like federal agent or some shit. And he used to do the lie. I can't believe I don't remember his name. Joe something, an Italian guy. Joe.
Hmm.
Yeah, Joe Matarazzo. I can't remember.
Now, did you promote like you promote a lot of shows, Joe?
Yeah, we actually we didn't promote for like a year or two during COVID, but
Hmm.
I promoted my first show when I was 22, 1998. And
Wow.
then actually, my wife was online, talked a lot to Tanya Knight, And
Oh.
we were going to bring Tanya Knight in for like a meet and greet type thing at a seminar.
Oh, cool.
And unfortunately, COVID canceled our 2020 show, and she passed away soon after
Yeah.
that. You know, and I
I
thought it was exciting because I wanted to get her back into the mix because she is kind of like missing for a while and wasn't really in the limelight. And I mean, she was on what 100 magazine covers. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
when
So
she was, I had her at my place, and she used to send me Christmas cards every year. I had her and Rick Valente were
Hmm.
fucking around, but I had them both at my place, and she was such a good girl. Back then is when she was in a prime. She was the gold or whatever it was on fucking Gladiators. Remember American
Yep.
Gladiators?
Hmm.
She
yeah,
was she was a good girl. I got to know her very well. She used to carry a salt shaker in her pocketbook, right? And she would throw a pinch of salt, and like we'd be at the diner, and she, oh wait, hold on a second, like that, a little pinch of salt, and I'd say, why are you doing that? I don't get that. And she'd say, well, it's so good for you because when your body gets used to all that sodium, and the minute you just cut it out the last couple of days, it just siphons all the water out of you. Like she like almost sodium loaded all year round. She'd say it's just a pinch, a tiny pinch, not enough that you taste it, but it's there. You know what I'm saying? And she
Yep.
said that and obviously we need sodium. The problem is we also need potassium, but the problem is people don't realize for you to get the recommended amount of potassium to match your sodium, you'd have to eat like 16 bananas a day, and that's not legit. So, some genius back in the 60s said, you know what? What if we just made everything low sodium to match the lower potassium level? Voila. And that's why all that low sodium. But we obviously need sodium. But anyway, she just used to do it. She was actually, in other words, she was very smart. She had a method to her madness.
Yeah.
And I used to hang out with Vinny Comerford, and he used to tell me the same shit. Oh, dude, salt, take the salt before, and then the day of the show, put a little bit more salt in. Oh my God, don't drink. Watch what happens. And he's right. You get a pump. Sodium. Go out and eat Chinese food or something real salty, fucking Chinese food. And then
I
go
got
to the
I got a
gym.
funny Vinnie Comerford story for you. So back in the day, we used to go. We used to bring ephedrine back from Canada because we were close.
And
Okay,
now I
so
just got an erection. You got my
yeah,
attention.
so Vinnie Comerford's like, hey, I'm trying to make a comeback. Can you get me some ephedrine? So I'm like, okay, yeah. So I sent him. He goes, I'll get you the money back. Get your money back. So I sent him like 125, $150 in ephedrine, and I'm like, and I get a package from him. It was an autographed picture thanking me, telling me he's going to send me the money. Never heard from him again. That's how bodybuilders are, though. You know what I mean?
Yes, they are. When it comes to
Wow.
they're very.
Another guy that passed away too
that,
young.
that's a lot of fucking ephedrine because back in the day, ephedrine was $2-3 a bottle. Remember D&E, TNM,
Yeah.
all them things,
Dimetrodrine
dimethyltryptamine.
25.
Yeah, all that shit. They were cheap.
Well, we would get them from Canada because with the exchange rate, especially back in the 90s, you'd get a ton, and we put them underneath where the spare tire was. I mean, my convertible Mustang, and we drive it back. I mean, you could get it here, but you get it way cheaper in Canada. It was Herc's Hideaway was the name of the store. They were affiliated, I think, with Muscle Mag way back when, but they would have a ton of it. Kaizen was the brand, if you remember, Greg. Kaizen
I
supplements, I
think
think it was
I've
called.
seen that Kaizen supplements. It's been a long time though. You
Yeah.
see, I knew all about all that shit. When I owned the gym too, we used to have like we didn't even know it. Like all these people were buying this blue nitro and fucking renutrient. Remember all that shit? It was GHB. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is so great about it? Look, I came in a little shampoo bottle like this. It looked like yellow water and shit. And I'd be like, what are you fucking people taking? What is so great about this shit? Can you get that more of that? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I was getting it from Bob O'Leary, you know what I mean? And it was fucking shit was coming in like, and
You
we were
know how
selling
I
that.
knew that it was? We used to sell Renutrient or Revivrant, and it tasted like gasoline. It was a yellow liquid. So, triple your money on it, right? Bodybuilders would take it. Well, then I got an order in one day, and all of a sudden it was purple, and there were little aliens all over. Next thing you know, it all got seized, and it went away because they were date raping girls with this drug. We were just taking it to sleep better at night, and supposedly you release more growth hormone or something like
I
that.
never took it. I never tasted it. I didn't even know what the fuck it was. People like my partner's like, dude, we got to order more of the Renutrient. It just keeps going out. And I'm like, what is that shit though? It looks like a shampoo bottle and shit. And I
Yeah.
had no idea what the hell it was, and people were buying it like crazy. And they used to sell it I used to sell GHB at what do you call it there? Fucking the health food store there.
Vitamin shop.
GNC.
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 GNC,
I don't know why I
yeah.
couldn't spit that out. And he used to have the little Coke spoon. You know what I mean? I used to see Bob Barnaby taking that shit, and he'd be like, "Wow, dude, you gotta." And I'm like, "What is it?" And he goes, "It's GHB. It makes you sleep better at night." And then the bodybuilders all started keying onto it. And then like I remember Sharon Marvel would take it, and she fucking had Barfarama. You know, her boyfriend's like, "Dude, for some reason you can't mix it with orange juice or some stupid shit like that."
Mm.
You know what I mean? She mixed it. She was barfing all over. My other friend, his wife was outside. He would drag her out of the car. She'd be asleep like this. You know, and we're like, holy fuck, you couldn't wake her up. He would throw water on her, you know, take bottles of ice water and throw it on her. That shit would not get, that's like dangerous shit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
I
much
don't
it.
like anything that makes you chugad. If I was going to be a drug addict, like I would probably be a crackhead because I like to fly. I like feeling up and awake. I don't like to feel like I don't have people smoke pot to like be mellow. You know, my daughter smokes more pot than Snoop Dogg, you know, and she does, and she'll sit there with that whack shit. And I'm like,
Hmm.
what the fuck? You
Hmm.
know? And then,
Yeah,
you know, she
100%.
she does all that MMA shit, so you know, they all do that shit. Like, you know, they're all
Hmm.
nuts with that shit. I don't know what the hell, how you fight and then take that shit. But
Hmm.
I don't know, but I don't like that stuff. I like to feel awake. You know what I mean? I don't know how
Hmm.
anybody can sit there and like smoke pot to be like, yeah, man.
Hmm.
You know?
Joe, do you have people you're training that are going to compete in like some?
You know, this is like the first season where I have no competitors.
Oh,
Actually,
really?
we
Okay.
we yeah we decided like the shows in Rochester used to be huge. I
Mm.
mean we would have, you know, and these are drug tested shows. We get 80, 90 competitors. I mean, they were huge years, and the market's not like that anymore. It seems like now
No.
it's like it's, you know what, in the NPC on the national level they do really well. But even some of the local NPC shows, they're not getting their numbers anymore. I mean, when I started competing, you'd have 10 teenagers. Now you don't get any teenagers. You know what I mean? I think there's just other different things that people are into now, and it's not, you know, it's not bodybuilding as much.
No, I mean, you know, not for nothing. The kids, you know, a lot of people don't have the dedication and you know, the drive, you know what I mean? And you know, the discipline to do
Mhm.
what we have to do to be a bodybuilder. These kids today can sit back with a big thing of Fritos and this and pew, 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 pew. I just got to the next level. Pew,
Mhm.
pew, pew.
Mhm.
I never could understand that shit. But there's people who make money doing that shit. You know, there's like, I'm a professional gamer. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
Well,
what
you know,
all these
the way
kids.
it used to be, Greg, is you wanted to find a coach, and you find a guy or woman who's won shows, and that's how you seek them out. Now you're finding somebody that has a lot of followers. You can
That's
buy followers. You know what I
that's.
mean? I've got a
Mhm.
wall in my gym. We've got a wall here of all these competitors we put in the shows. I'm like, I don't need to buy followers. I have my proof right here. But you
Mhm.
want to go through an influencer, and a lot of those people are copy and pasting the same routine for everybody.
Oh
Mhm.
You
yeah,
know?
I don't even know who some of these people. They got a million followers. I see. I don't even do my own. You know, I let my girlfriend do it. That's why I fucked up.
Yeah.
But I don't even know. I don't. I'm like really bad with that shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I had a flip phone up until recently. You know.
You know, I was talking about Aceto's son, and he's training people now. Okay, Aceto's
Oh, Joe,
training.
I know. I
So,
saw that.
so to me, and this is me personally, if and he's great that he's training, but if I was getting open heart surgery, I would want a doctor who had some experience, not someone who's 6 months out of medical
Hmm.
school. You know what I'm
Joe,
saying? Like,
you go to Home Depot, you look for the older tire guy to help you. Don't you look for a young kid, right?
correct.
Right.
Same
Exactly.
thing.
And
Yep.
but
That's
the
it.
other thing is that's the thing though. Today, I'm an IFBB pro. You know what I mean? Like, there was a girl who I can't. This is back when I worked with MD, and she won a bikini show and got a pro card. And she never ever stepped foot in a gym. She didn't do anything. She did like fucking Jane Fonda type tapes in front of me. But she was like my sister, who was naturally fit, had abs, like really tight body, like a little small muscular ass, the legs and everything. And also it was a bikini contest. So she's, this. Come on, you can go to the beach and see chicks that never spent a day in a gym, or you went to school with some girl. Oh, dude, you see her body? You know what I'm saying? And that's this girl won. She was like 17, 18 years old. She got a pro card. This is back a long time ago. And then Gaspari hired her. I don't remember her name. This is when I worked with MD. But what I'm trying to say is that these people, then right away they become personal trainers. Everybody's a personal trainer today.
Hmm.
Everybody.
Yeah, with
Because
the
they don't want to.
experience.
They don't want to get a real job. You want to sit there and babysit somebody, And when you
Hmm.
get to the high level, it just means drug dealer. You know what I
Yep.
mean? All these guys. Do you really? Like, I never think about this. Like, Sean Ray was talking to me about this, and because he hates all that guru shit. He has wars with some of them online. But he even said, like, somebody like Ronnie Coleman. Do you really think that Ronnie needs, like, should I be doing biceps or should I be, like, you know what to do. You know what I mean? You know what to eat. Should I be eating rice with my chicken? No, you know what to do. You know what I mean? It's all about the babanya. And at the end, and, here, I'll get you something to try this trend, fuck that trend, so and all this other shit. A lot of those guys get the shit and do it. Like, I'm not saying all, but a lot of gurus are just,
Yeah,
basically.
you're paying them for their drug knowledge. That's what you're paying them
Right.
for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe, if I said to you, I'm talking about Joe Christiano now. You've competed, you've been around this long enough. If I said to you, look, you can't talk to anybody, maybe just your wife, get an objective eye. Objective eye is a different story. What do you think? How do I look? You look good, Joe. Maybe, your lower back needs a little bit more, maybe diet, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just throwing something at you. That's a different story. But if I said to you, you have to go and get yourself in really good shape for a show or whatever, or even a photo shoot, would you need to talk to a guru to help you?
No,
No.
you got to suffer. You suffer until you can't suffer anymore.
But I mean, you've done this
Mm-hmm.
enough that you need. Now,
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
if you're a beginner, that's a different story. You need somebody to teach you. I'm somebody who's never been in a gym or whatever. I'm just starting my journey. That's a different story. But when you see all these guys, they need their gurus and stuff. Bro, you're fucking, and Nick Walker's fucking, you're like, you look like the California raisin, all jacked and shit,
Exactly.
The last thing you need, like, you don't need some guy to tell you, like, what is he going to teach you that you don't already fucking know? You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yep. If I was going to a show and I needed a trainer, I would go someone like Joe, who has the experience, not someone who has social media numbers.
Yeah.
Today it's different.
Yeah, I mean, usually you need an objective eye, and you need somebody to keep you on track. You know what I mean? Like, yo, Joe, Joe, maybe you should cut your carbs a little bit. But you don't need somebody like, should I be doing this for my biceps? Like, should I be doing dumbbell curls? I haven't been doing, like, that kind of shit. You don't need all that shit.
Yeah,
Or
I
should I
agree.
be eating chicken? Oh, fuck, I've been eating fish. I'm just saying.
Exactly. And there's no money actually in bodybuilding anymore. I just saw that the cornhole competition.
I saw
Did you
that.
see that? The cornhole competition makes $10,000 for the winner, which is like the same as like someone winning a show in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Joe, I'd
Crazy.
cornhole you for money. No, but listen, and it's true. I used to watch the World Series of Darts. It's for $5 million, and here he goes. And I'm going, wait, $5 million to throw a fucking dart? What am I doing? You got these guys with suspenders and a beer in their hand. Here we go, ready?
Yeah.
It's Bucky shitball, whatever. He's fucking. This is his third fucking World Series of Darts. Watch this.
Yeah.
Like this.
Like watching Minnesota Fats on TV with the pool.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
the pool
Yeah.
tables, yeah.
The best
But bodybuilding, the only thing that pays this is the internet. I gotta get all my fucking all my followers and like and subscribe. The thing is, that's why the Trent twins, Sam Sulik, all those guys. If you're smart, don't compete, because what happens is then you lose your mystique. If you go in a show and you don't win, or you look like fucking Bajagaloop up there, forget about it. You're better off being that influencer. They'll make more money than Mr. Olympia makes. That's the way that works. It's the internet that's helped bodybuilding. Because back in the day, you had to either sell steroids, right? If you don't place in the top fucking 5. I mean, I think the 5th place in Mr. Olympia, I made 10 grand. That's like fucking, forget about that. You know what I mean? There's no money in sport. That's why when people say to me, why didn't you go all the way and keep competing? David always says, oh, you should have been a pro. And because I started promoting shows for the NPC. And I was making a lot of money. You know what I mean? There was no shows where I live, and I'm bringing in all these pros. And we were selling out. We had a venue, 1,500 people. You're charging $50 to get in and shit. And, like that, you count that scuttle. You know what I mean? We were making money. I was like, shit.
Yeah. When is your next show, Joe? When are you promoting your next show?
We're taking this year off, so I'm not sure what we're
going
to do. It's something me and my wife have discussed. It needs to be a good fit. If it's not a good fit, I'm not doing it just for the hell of it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like we shall see in the future.
Okay, that's really good. That's really
Yeah.
good. Man. I know. Did you make a little good money on it, Greg, when you were promoting and stuff? When you were
Yeah, I
doing
made a lot of money. It did a lot until fucking Carl Campagna, rotten fuck, he used to steal from me and shit. He was the head of the NPC, and then Weinberger took it from him,
I
which
think
was.
it was easier back in Greg's day as an independent promoter. Now usually you got guys
Oh
that are
yeah, I
doing
didn't.
20, 30 shows. Yeah.
It
Mhm.
was it was a lot easier because I was there was not a lot of shows. I was the only
Mm-hmm.
girl in town, so to speak. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the fees, I don't remember what the fees were, but they weren't nothing. A couple grand. That was it. It's nothing. Today you got to get all kinds of fees. Have to pay the judges this and that and that. It wasn't like that when I did that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
A lot of
So it
fees,
was
Joe. Is there a lot of fees that you got to do?
I know the NPC IPB charges a ton of fees. The
Oh yeah.
national organizations typically don't, but
Okay.
if you're on, the only gig is the NPC really, unless you're
Yeah.
going to compete in NABA, and that's all overseas. You don't see that anymore. You know what I
hmm
mean?
hmm
I
So it's like
started I
the
started
NPC.
running
It's definitely
shows.
expensive to compete, but you're gonna spend the money regardless. So
Yeah.
Joe, now you got to pay for people backstage. If your coach wants to come help you, you got to pay.
hmm
The entrance fee is ridiculous. Back when
yeah.
when you had to have you need a card, an NPC card. You had to have
hmm
all that shit, but you didn't have to pay all these crazy fees and all.
hmm
Now today, oh, you want your fucking, you don't want to wipe your ass with a towel? That's going to be an
hmm
extra $20.
hmm
It's like ridiculous. So if somebody's backstage helping you pump up, that's another fucking $100.
hmm
And that's why it's a money making organization for the NPC. But when I was younger, started, I did it when it first started. You know what I mean? Like it's like a year into it, like 1985. I started 1986, like that. That's
You
how I met
compete.
Bob Connor.
Did you compete in the AAU back in the day? That's one of my first
Yes,
show. AAU.
yes. I used to
The
go in the
AAU was very strange. There were always old men backstage watching the young teenagers. It was
because
very, very shady.
there was a lot of gay guys
hmm Very
involved in that.
shady.
A lot of the gays ran the fucking sport. That's
hmm
people don't realize that shit.
hmm
Yes, I competed in the AAU. There
Yep.
was no NPC. I remember when Tim Belknap won the last AAU Mr. America. Then it went to the nationals, and it was Lee Haney won in '84. I think it was Belknap won the last one or something like that. If it wasn't Belknap, he was right there. Joe
hmm
Miko, all these other guys. I remember all that. You
hmm
know. It
Yeah.
was a long. I mean, it's a long time ago. I competed in 1976 the first time. It's a long time ago. I was 16.
Wow.
I went in a small shit bullshit
Yeah.
show, but I'm just saying, you know. And I competed against grown ass men. You know what I mean? They didn't always have a teenage division. It was different. When I first
Very.
started competing too, there was no the first as you showed. They didn't even have they played like regular house music. I don't mean house music as the music that they played, more like classical. You didn't like have all these posing songs and routine. You had to hit the mandatories and get the fuck off stage.
hmm
You know what I mean?
Joe,
It
do
was
you
different.
follow it now, Joe? Do you follow
Oh
bodybuilding
yeah,
still?
yeah, I
Yes. Do you
follow
follow
it.
who
I
do you
mean,
like?
and you always think your era looked the best, but you still gotta
Yes.
respect the guys who compete nowadays. The one thing I don't like is a lot of them they all look the same. They don't have unique physiques like all the guys back in
Hundred
like I
percent.
like I love the '90s physiques the best, but I still really love bodybuilding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still love the sport. I'm still following it for sure.
Yeah.
I love the sport for me, but I agree with you. If you cut the heads off of everybody in the '90s, I could sit to Sean Ray,
Flex
Vince
Wheeler.
Taylor, Flex Wheeler. It
hmm
didn't matter who you knew who it was. Today, I don't know. They all look the same.
hmm
Who
Yeah.
doesn't have big legs today? I mean,
Yeah.
who doesn't have like fucking giant legs? I
hmm
remember, I remember we were at. I hope he's not watching, but anyway, I remember we were at fucking dinner. I was at dinner with Jay Cutler and because we all
hmm
worked together at MD, right? And I was with Joe Pietaro, and Jay was walking. He was like fucking like a refrigerator, and I go, Joe, look at the size of Jay's ass, because it was like these big fucking. And Joe goes to me, "What are you looking at his ass for?" And I said, "But I'm not looking at his ass, but I'm like, it's his ass. It's like it's like all muscular. Look at that. It's like a fucking horse from behind, like a racehorse." And I didn't mean that like bad, but there
hmm
was a big can. You know what I mean?
Yep. John Scuderi says, "What's up, New York Joe, New York
John
Jay, and
Hey
Greg?"
Scary,
John,
my
how are
brother.
you? Great guy.
Hey, Holly, I just want to say something to Holly. Holly, it's Steve Z's birthday today. That's why he's not here, probably. Unless he's here incognito and he's trolling it. But, Steve, if you're there, happy birthday, my brother.
Yep.
So,
Happy birthday.
yeah, it's Steve Z's birthday. Because I saw Holly was like, "Where's Steve today?" Um, but, it's, you see some of these guys, they take off their shirt. They got guts out, and they got like a 40-inch ripped waist. And what I tell guys all the time is you don't realize your gut, your abs are made of the same thing as your bicep. So if you're on the Babanya and you're over there doing weighted dips and Jesus Christ, weighted, set of weighted ab stuff, you're gonna make your waist bigger, not smaller. It's gonna grow. You know what I mean? I told my friend, stop doing. My friend from Italy, he used to sit there and do these fucking like side bends with like fucking 100-pound dumbbells, and he'd be doing, and he had these obliques, right? They were like 2 giant softballs, and I told him, bro, what are you doing? And he's like, I can't get my waist in this small, and I'm like, dude, fucking stop doing the fucking side bends, okay? Just do enough crunches and shit to keep it sharp. He already had low body fat, so the abs were popping. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%.
Sure enough, he stopped doing side bends. He lost like a couple inches off his waist.
Wow.
Guys don't realize your abs are no different than your biceps. If you're in there and you're using all this heavy weight, you're doing sit-ups with fucking 245-pound plates, and you're doing it, you're an idiot.
Yep. Joe, you're the same age as us. Do you have any injuries? You probably got.
I've got issues with my neck. My hands are tough. I had my knee cleaned out, years ago. But I mean, yeah, we all got injuries. You know what I mean? I wake up some days I can't feel my hand, this and that. You know what I mean? I try. My poor wife has to hear about it all the time. I try not to bitch too much about it. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're working out since I'm 51. Working out since I was 13. You're always gonna have injuries. Yeah,
Of course, 100%.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
We've already been an hour, guys. Joe, let's hopefully you can come back again, Joe. You want to?
Yeah,
whenever
Joe,
you guys need me, yeah, love it.
We're gonna have you on again. You're a great guy, Joe.
You're a great guy, Joe.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Where's your gym? Let everyone know where they can contact
We're
you.
at 2201 North Clinton. We're on Instagram and Facebook. We're working on a new website right now. Find us on there. I do one-on-one training, group training. My wife has a small availability for new clients, but we love what we do. It doesn't feel like work.
Yep, 100. And you're a great guy, Joe. Thanks for coming on. You're gonna come on again with us. We love
Thanks,
having
guys. Thanks for having me.
Joe, you got my love and respect. You know that, and always, man.
Thanks, guys.
You got it, brother.
God bless you.
God bless.
Right.
Everyone in the chat, goodbye. We'll talk to you next week, brothers.
All right, guys.
You got it.
Started from nothing. Jersey streets, we owned it.